Hello and welcome to InvestorToday.ca. InvestorToday.ca is brought to you in conjunction with RBL Communications. I'm your host, Dave Glover. I am here at the Montreal Cambridge House Show. It is November 19th, and joining me is Joe Martin. Joe, you are the founder, the man behind the Cambridge Houses.
Yeah, we founded this company way back in the 90s, and we've grown where we produce the world's largest retail investment conferences related to mineral exploration, and we have about 8 shows a year now.
That's fantastic. So can we talk to, because this show is obviously going to go out on the net, and it's going to go to a lot of people who've never been to a Cambridge House show, and maybe you can tell them a little about what Cambridge House is.
Well, basically we focus on the mineral exploration side. About 60% of all worldwide exploration is done by Canadian companies. They're the guys out there trying to see what's down below the ground. They're not the miners. Once they find a deposit, then you have the problems of bringing it into production as a mine. And I say about 60% of all worldwide exploration is done by Canadians. Aussies maybe another 20 points. The others would be some Russian, Chinese, and American. So Vancouver's the headquarter for exploration. Toronto may be the headquarter for financing. But about half the companies in exploration are out of Vancouver. So we have a large shows out of there. And that dates back to the old Vancouver Stock Exchange. What you can expect to see when you come to a show is a wide number of companies covering just about every commodity that the world needs right now, from copper, gold, zinc, lithium, rare earths, critical metals, potash, companies who are, and we recommend coming to a show. It's one thing to go to the internet and to do your research, which you should. It's another thing to go and listen to a speaker, or probably to read a speaker. Come and listen to them, and the biggest thing I always tell people when you're investing in junior mining stocks is who are the people. Good people will find good projects, they can raise money, and if they have a failure here, they get back up on their feet and they go look for it again. So at a show like this, it's the old buy me, feel me, touch me. Look the guy in the eyes and talk to them and see whether you trust them or you're going to try to get me shareholder returns. Because it's a risky business, it's a very high risk, high reward business. But that's what makes it exciting too.
Well, let's talk about how long you've been doing this and how it has become the show that it has become.
Well, as I say, we came out of Vancouver in '95 was our first one on our own. We had done a couple of ones before related to the diamond business when the diamond territory broke up in the Northwest Territories. But we came out of Vancouver, we expanded into Calgary and then into Toronto, and we had a pretty good run there up until 2000. Gold prices fell down, and we had to retrench, and we survived those bad years by getting into biotechnology and technology, which had a strong Montreal presence, by the way, too, back then. But with the way the markets are now, with the copper at $4, we got gold running around the $1,800 to $2,000 level. All of a sudden, a lot of these mineral deposits that were marginal before are feasible right now. So there's a lot of excitement, and the world's running out of metals. We think we're at critical metals. We think there's a shortage of copper even, which is the bellwether metal, and certainly the demand for gold. Countries are now buying it again. Silver, which is both an industrial metal and a currency metal. There's just a big pent-up demand. China announcing that they're going to produces 97% of all world rare earth metals, and you can't have a cell phone, you can't have a magnet in your car or anything without rare earths. And China has announced that they are going to shut down all export and in fact become an importer. So this has got a rush going on looking for those metals. And that's one thing Canadians do well, is go around the world looking for new mineable deposits.
Well, you talked a little bit about the attendees and who's here in terms of the exploration companies and the small cap companies and who's here with minerals and what have you. But let's talk a little bit about how an individual can just come into the Cambridge House Show. There's probably a lot of people out there that have never heard of the Cambridge House Show, and if they have heard of the Cambridge House Show, they're not sure it's for them, or maybe they don't think about an expense. But this is a show where an individual can come in and basically walk the floor, get some face time with the CEOs.
Dave, the way I describe it is it's a living magazine. We have, if you subscribe to or you read a columnist who's an analyst at a research firm or something like that, telling you about, let's take a well-known analyst in Canada, say the Sprott Asset Group. Eric Sprott's a real silver bug now. He has researchers writing reports on silver, reports on other commodities. But why not come and hear them in person? So now instead of reading the person, we have the person there speaking. You would be the circulation as an attendee. So you're walking into a living magazine. And the advertisers are the public stock companies that have booths here. They always have to be raising money and doing shareholder relations. So it's basically a living magazine.
So, and it's open to the public?
Absolutely. It's free to attend. Our income comes from the public stock companies who pay us as part of their investor relation budgets.
Right. Well, this is one of the fabulous shows here in Montreal, but you've got some really big shows, and you've got some really interesting things coming up as well in terms of how people can attend your shows.
Yeah, we'll be expanding somewhat into the internet also, but in January in Vancouver, we have a monster show. It'll be about 500 exhibitors, and there'll be 10 to 12,000. But we have 2 tents inside there. One of the tents is going to be the Cambridge House Investor College, and it will be going nonstop 45-minute sessions on anything from how to manage your tax-free savings account, your RSPs, how to analyze every mining exploration company goes through a similar chart, and that's explained where you've got 100% risk leading up to 0% risk when the mine comes into production. Mm-hmm. And we'll be talking all these things that can teach you how to help analyze the stock.
Well, which is particularly important right now. I mean, with the economy being the way it is, people are a little unsure of where they can park their money or if they're going to go long-term on it. And so a show like this really affords people the opportunity, as you said, as a living magazine, to get educated.
Yeah, and we're very much bullish on the commodities, gold and silver. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of those guys, and it's the reserve currency of the world, basically, and we believe that, and we're not quite nuts like the Americans. We don't think Roosevelt's going to come out of his grave and take it all away from us again, but we have a lot of exciting projects, and particularly with the new technologies now. I've been to China looking at projects. You see Canadians on the ground because we have the best technology people in the world looking for new mineable deposits. Right. And so when you come to a Cambridge show, you're not just looking at somebody looking for rare earths in Quebec or potash in Saskatchewan. You've got projects in just about every country of the world.
Wow. So as you said, it's a great opportunity to walk through this living magazine, if you will, and help make a clearer determination on how your investment's going. And if you are invested with a company, it's a great opportunity to get some face time with someone like that, isn't it?
I think the companies come often to is exactly for that reason, for shareholder relations. Mm-hmm. You know, you've bought into a company and you've had the shares for 3 years and it's maybe not doing as well as you'd like it to. Go on up and talk to the guys and find out where they are. Also, don't be afraid to ask for private placements. A lot of financing is not done through brokerage firms. It's done directly by the company to accredited investors. Ask the company, you guys, how much money have you got in the bank? The company says we got $500,000. You know they have to raise money. Mm-hmm. When's your next financing coming down, and what prices are going to be, and can I get in?
And exactly, and that's something an attendee, because you said it doesn't cost you any money to attend a Cambridge House show. Can we talk about what shows you have coming up?
Well, our big one in January in Vancouver, but the third Sunday, Monday of I think it's 22nd, 23rd. Then we're in, I forget, we go to Calgary. Oh, we're in Palm Springs. We have a Palm Springs show, and we have Calgary and Saskatoon. They're all a bit different. Montreal here, for example, we have at least 50% French language. And in Vancouver, we actually have a couple sessions in Mandarin. So there's some different things in each show, and Palm Springs will probably have a bit more the political situation in the United States. Somebody like Peter Schiff will be speaking, and so there's a bit of a different flavor in each show.
So how would you characterize the difference between the Cambridge House show and, say, like a Chicago Resource Expo?
I don't know the Chicago Resource Expo.
Okay. Well,
There's a broker in Chicago who does a small one for his clients, and I think you may call it that, but it's not a very big. It's about 300 or 400 people and a dozen companies or so. It's sort of a road show. Companies are always the Canadian companies are. I was just in Munich last week on a 5-city road trip with 8 Canadian companies. We visited the financial institutions in Hamburg, Geneva, Zurich, Munich, and Vienna, and it was very interesting because some of the companies there we found in Germany, half the shares trading on a couple of companies were being traded by Germans. Really? So we don't do shows in Germany, but we cooperate with the people there.
Mm-hmm. We do primarily your shows are in Canada and the United States. Do you do any other shows abroad?
No, we're just we have an attitude that we live within 40 miles of the U.S. border, and there's a lot of Americans, and Americans have had a hard time buying Canadian stocks with the Homeland Security Act, and the Canadian companies now, a lot of them are getting listed on the QX exchange down there, which means if they're in compliance with the Ontario Securities Commission, they can trade down there as a mirror image.
So that's obviously wonderful for any of the attendee people coming in and setting up a booth here. Now, how does someone find out about Cambridge House? If you're a small firm, you just started your company, if you don't already know what the Cambridge House is, how does one find out about Cambridge House?
We know the companies. I mean, they have to be listed. we're not. So we know all the issuers. They're listed on the stock exchange. So we have those lists. As an investor, if you're interested, go to CambridgeHouse.com. We got all sorts of sites that lead you there. Goldshow.com, CambridgeHouse.com. It'll all feed you into our website, and we're just launching a new website that's going to have a lot more investor information on there, but that won't be for a couple more months yet.
So it's CambridgeHouse.ca, was it?
.ca.com, CambridgeHouse.com.
CambridgeHouse.com. So again, if you're an investor and you're watching this and you think you might want to get some more information on where your investment opportunities lie, you might want to consider coming to a Cambridge House show. As I said, it doesn't cost anything to come to the show, but it does cost, obviously, if you're setting up a booth here. That's as you said, how you make your money. But the real goal, I guess, is to get as many potential investors out to talk to these people.
Yeah, our job is to bring the investor and the issuer together. Help them, everybody make it's a high-risk, high-reward game, but when you make money on it, it's a lot of fun. And I always recommend to people you should not be buying one stock. If you carefully select, say, a basket of 6, 8, 10 stocks, it only takes one good hit to make it up, and you've got a win in there.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for taking your time to speak to me today, Joe. It was very enlightening, quite frankly. Again, it's Dave Glover. You're watching InvestorToday.ca. I'm with Joe Martin, who is the founder, I guess, of Cambridge House. And you can find Cambridge House on the internet. Just go to CambridgeHouse.ca or CambridgeHouse.com, and perhaps we'll see you at the next major event. Thank you, Joe.
Hi, David.